Today I feel gay.
They've got no idea and clue of the spirit of the game.
Chill, relax.
Referee Omar Artan has been denied the chance to ref at the World Cup.
Chill, relax.
FIFA is facing calls to answer questions now.
Chill, relax.
3 days. That is how long it took for FIFA to turn the biggest sporting event on the planet into a scandal. Empty stadiums nobody can explain. A VAR system that stopped working mid-game, live in front of billions. Fans from entire countries locked out before a single ball was kicked. Iran's national team commuting across the US border like it's a Tuesday morning. Brazil arriving without Rodrigo, without Estevao, and now without Neymar either. And right in the middle of all that chaos, a 20-year-old from Watford that most of the world had never heard of just destroyed Turkey at a World Cup. Stay with me, because the first week of 2026 has been the most dramatic, most scandalous, most absolutely unhinged opening in modern football history, and we are barely getting started. Let's open with the story that exploded on social media before the tournament was even 24 hours old. Empty seats, thousands of them, everywhere. Canada's first ever home World Cup match at BMO Field in Toronto, the most important game in Canadian football history, and over 1,000 seats sat empty. Not unsold. Empty. Just red plastic staring back at the cameras. Then Switzerland versus Qatar at Levi's Stadium in San Francisco. A 70,000 capacity ground. It looked like a reserve league match on a Tuesday night. Pockets of empty chairs in every direction, and FIFA had the nerve to keep selling tickets in the hours before kickoff while their own website listed seats as limited availability. Here's the part that will make your blood boil. FIFA's official response: they said fans were on the concourses, not in their seats, just hanging around outside. That was their explanation to the entire world, on live television for thousands of visible, empty chairs. Here is the actual truth. Only 29 of the 104 World Cup matches sold out before the tournament started. 29 out of 104. Category 1 and Category 2 tickets were priced between $1,645 and $2,240 each. A supporter following their team from the group stage to the final would have spent a minimum of $6,900 on tickets alone. That is 5 times the cost of doing the same thing at Qatar 2022. 5 times in 4 years. The Attorneys General of New York and New Jersey are now investigating FIFA for allegedly inflating prices and misleading fans. Gianni Infantino, the man who stood in front of cameras and called demand unprecedented, has not said a single word about the investigation. Working class football fans. The people who built this sport, who filled these grounds for generations, they are sitting at home watching on TV because FIFA priced them out of their own tournament. This one is for every fan who has ever screamed at a screen over a VAR decision. Qatar versus Switzerland. First World Cup match for Qatar since 2022, when they hosted and went home without winning a single game. It was building toward one of the most heartwarming underdog moments of the early tournament. Then, in the 14th minute, VAR awarded Switzerland a penalty. A foul was given, but to confirm it, VAR first had to check whether the players were onside in the build-up. The check happened. The penalty stood. Briel Embolo scored. Here is where it gets outrageous. Nobody watching at home saw the proof. The 3D offside graphic that FIFA always broadcasts, the one that proves players were onside or offside, never appeared. The screen went blank where the animation should have been. No lines, no confirmation, a penalty given with zero visible evidence to billions of viewers worldwide. FIFA's statement afterward confirmed a brief technical outage. Their words: a technical outage at the World Cup in 2026, the most expensive sporting event on Earth. Gary Neville went ballistic on commentary. He called FIFA a dictatorship. He said that hiding evidence from the public is exactly what a governing body with zero accountability does. He demanded transparency, on live television, while entire nations waited to find out if a goal actually stood. And somehow, incredibly, Qatar equalized in the 90th minute, their first ever World Cup point, a historic moment that deserved to be celebrated on its own terms. But that is what FIFA does. They take beautiful moments and bury them under their own incompetence. This is the story nobody wanted to tell, but everybody knew it was coming. The 2026 World Cup is being played in a country with active travel bans on several of the competing nations' fans. Let that land for a second. Iran qualified, their players flew to North America, but Iranian fans cannot enter the United States. The Iranian team itself was banned from staying overnight on US soil. Their training base is in Tijuana, Mexico, They cross the border, play their game in Los Angeles or Seattle, and immediately cross back. One DHS spokesperson said, and these are real words, "Thanks to the generosity of President Trump, the Iranian team will be able to arrive the day before their matches." A favor. Playing in a World Cup match is now a personal favor that needs to be granted by a head of state. At least one referee from Somalia and one Iraqi team staff member were denied entry at U.S. airports in the days leading up to the tournament. Dozens of ticket holders from Morocco, one of the most exciting teams in the competition, were refused visas. They had already bought their tickets. They were turned away. And then there is the ICE situation. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullen confirmed on May 12th that ICE agents would be present inside World Cup stadiums. When asked if they would enforce immigration laws during games, he said, "ICE always says immigration enforcement. We're always going to do that." Workers at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, 2,000 of them represented by a union, voted to strike over fears of ICE presence. They reached an agreement that included the right to walk off the job if they felt threatened. Over 120 immigrant rights groups issued a formal travel warning telling international fans they could face rights violations attending games in the United States. This was supposed to be the World Cup that welcomed the world. Instead, it became a tournament with a guest list. Okay, Brazil. Where do you even begin? Carlo Ancelotti walked into this tournament without Rodrigo, a CL and lateral meniscus torn in a La Liga match against Getafe in March. A year out. Gone. He walked in without Eder Militao, their center-back, who went under the knife in April for a thigh injury. Also gone. He walked in without Estevao, the 19-year-old who became the youngest Brazilian player to score in a competitive international match since Pelé. He scored 5 goals in 7 international appearances under Ancelotti. He tore his hamstring in April playing for Chelsea against Manchester United, refused surgery to try and make the squad, rehabbed every single day for weeks, and still did not make it. Left home. Dream over. And then, just before their opener against Morocco, Ancelotti confirmed that Neymar, who was only in the squad because Estevao's injury opened a spot, is also injured. A calf problem. Out for the first game. Neymar has not played international football since October 2023. He has barely played club football in 2.5 years. He moved back to Santos in January 2025. And yet somehow he is Brazil's emotional lifeline at a World Cup where their actual best players are sitting at home watching on television. Brazil drew 1-1 with Morocco. With all due respect to Morocco, an incredible side, that is not the result Brazil needed. They face Haiti next, then Scotland. Neymar might be back for Haiti, he might not. Nobody really knows. The 5-time champions, favorites on paper, limping through the group stage without 3 of their best attackers. And the one they brought back from semi-retirement is injured too. I want to come back to Qatar versus Switzerland for a moment because something genuinely beautiful got completely lost in all the controversy. Qatar drew 1-1 with Switzerland, their first ever World Cup point. In their entire history, they hosted the 2022 World Cup. They went home without a single point. Not one. 0. Nothing. This time, they came to the United States, played against one of Europe's strongest sides, went behind to a penalty that nobody could verify, and in the 90th minute, they found a way to equalize. The Qatari fans inside that stadium lost their minds. Grown men in tears. People who had traveled across the world for that exact moment. And in the background, empty seats, a broken VAR system, a FIFA statement blaming a technical outage. Qatar deserved a moment that was completely theirs. Instead, they had to share it with a controversy that was entirely FIFA's fault. That is the 2026 World Cup in miniature. Now for the best story of the first week. Nobody gave Australia a chance against Turkey. Turkey are the Group D favorites alongside the United States. They had not been to a World Cup since 2002. They came back with genuine quality and a point to prove. This was supposed to be a comfortable win for the Europeans. Nestori Irankunda did not get that memo. 20 years and 125 days old. A Watford winger. In the 27th minute, he received the ball on the left, took a first touch that made grown men feel inadequate, cut inside and slotted it past the Turkish goalkeeper with complete composure. The youngest goal scorer in Australian World Cup history. Australia held on through wave after wave of Turkish pressure, kept their shape, and Connor Metcalfe doubled the lead in the 75th minute. Final score, Australia 2, Turkey 0. A reporter asked Irankunda about the people who had written Australia off before the tournament. He said, and I love this kid for this, people underestimate us and we showed them today that we can play. They kept the ball a lot more, but who scored the goals? We scored the goals. Australia are now level on points with the United States at the top of Group D. Turkey, who waited 24 years to return to this tournament, are already in crisis mode after one game. That is what the World Cup is. Right there. The host nation did not just show up. They dismantled Paraguay 4-1 in front of a sold-out Los Angeles stadium. Folarin Balogun was the story. Double scorer, clinical, dominant. The AS Monaco striker, who could have chosen to play for England instead, showed up to his first World Cup and immediately announced himself to the world. Then Gio Reyna came off the bench in the 82nd minute. After all the drama of Qatar 2022, the pouting, the benching, the whispers about attitude, the years of questions, Reyna received the ball 26 passes into an attack, let it roll across his body and hammered it off the outside of his right foot. The crowd lost their minds. The United States sit at the top of Group D, the host nation is flying, and with Australia also winning, Group D has already become the most chaotic and exciting group in the tournament. 3 days. That is all it took for this World Cup to give us absolutely everything. FIFA scandal, broken technology, geopolitical drama at the border, Brazil without half their squad and Neymar still limping. A 20-year-old from Watford destroying Turkey like he owns the place, and the host nation looking genuinely dangerous. Here is what I want to know from you. Is this the most chaotic World Cup opening we have ever seen? And be honest, do you think FIFA will ever actually be held accountable for the ticket prices and the empty seats, or will they blame the fans for standing on the concourse? Drop your answer in the comments. If this hit different, subscribe. Week 2 is going to be even wilder.